Good morning. Hello, Friday.
Oh, I'm so glad it's Friday. Hello,
Friday.
everyone. This is Jill and Deb,
Yep.
and this is Friday Grief Chat. We're
We're
raising
glad
grief.
you're here.
Yeah. Oh my
And
God.
we've actually spent the last hour working on our presentation for an intensive we're doing the last Sunday of May at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse at the beginning of the International Death, Grief, and Bereavement Conference.
So let's just plug it for a minute. I have the shiny paper here. For real, it's June 1st through the 3rd. And then pre-conference. And, it says who should attend: behavioral health professionals, counselors, healthcare and hospice providers, educators, clergy, social work, funeral directors, case managers. I'm going to put in nurses.
Yes.
Hospice nurses, and all who serve those in grief. And you can go to let's see, where is the here we go. Here is uwlax.edu/GEL/care, CARE.
I'll post it when we're offline.
Yeah. And it's going to be a great conference. Not
It
just
is.
Jill and I are there, and Jill's presenting something else. What's the other thing you're presenting on?
I'm going to be talking about widow fire.
Yes, very good.
Which is a concept that, because the whole theme of the conference is loneliness and grief. Every year the conference has a theme, and this is loneliness. So we're going to be talking about loneliness and grief from a physiological perspective, from a brain chemistry perspective, and from ways to cope with it with interactive activities for both yourself and for anyone you might be working with. So ours is really lots of stuff, lots of information. My particular one that I'm doing the Wednesday of the conference is on widow fire, which is the construct that is trying to beat back that very, very old, well-known fact that is not a fact at all, that people shouldn't have relationships after being widowed, that it's not healthy, that that's a way to avoid grief, rather than it's a way to incorporate grief and incorporate needs and allow someone to grieve while enjoying the company of another. And it's something that is well criticized in lots of communities, including the therapeutic community.
Right.
Yeah.
And you'll hear, and maybe you have heard, that after a big breakup,
there's the phone. After a big breakup, you should not.
I know.
You stay far away. Don't get involved. Now, if it's a bad relationship, you probably need some downtime to sort it out, and some time to say, okay, what are my never going to do that again things? Where are my reds, my yellows, and my greens? Right?
Yeah.
I do that with teenagers.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you absolutely cannot have a relationship again. I had a debate with one of the two people who founded the grief recovery program about this. Russell and I went round and round about this. And I'm still here, so I'm going to now say that part was wrong about that program, and neither one of the founders are still here, so they can't argue with me.
I had a client not too long ago that, and I just love that people who know what I do, they might refer their family and friends to me, and I may not agree with the reasons they sent that person who is now a widower. I think they're all widows, right? But a boy is a
Widower.
Girl is just a widow. I don't understand. But and every person is different. Yes, I would have a hard time if 2 weeks after someone's life partner died, and you changed the will to give all your money over to a religious organization, to this, to that. I as a family member, I may have a problem with
There
that.
may be some thoughts about that. Yes.
However, that is not usually the case. It
Mm-mm.
happens, but it is not usually the case. And just a little FYI that goes along with that is I'm part of a few groups on Facebook, and one of them was it was a nursing group, and the nursing group said, what was it that you learned in nursing that you could only learn from nursing? And I said two things. One, how cruel family members can be when someone dies. And also, I learned a lot about life and to appreciate life. And I could only learn that through the nursing.
Through your nursing lens. Yes.
Yeah. But
although as a social worker saw it too.
Exactly.
Right?
So, I'm glad you're doing on widow fire. Now I understand. I wondered why she said widow fire, because you're beating back the fires, just like fires they have them all over by you and in Oregon. So that's what I'm thinking.
Good morning, Mary. Yeah, it is. And it's widow fire in the sense that there's a physical fire, and some people spell it F-Y-R-E, some it's F-I-R-E, but it's mostly, the way someone grieves is the way someone grieves. And as we've said before on this program, and as I say frequently when I'm speaking, when someone has a long loss, when there's been a long illness, when you have been grieving for a very, very long time, when you've said all the things, when you've talked about it with the person who's now your late other half, your trajectory for grief is different, good morning, Gail, than your trajectory if you were someone who had a loved one who died in a car accident.
Right.
And so you've been doing the grieving, you've been doing the coping, you've been saying goodbye, you've been secretly, and this happens a lot in the dementia world I'm in.
Yes, that's what I was
secretly waiting for this moment, even though you don't want your loved one to die. You are so freaking tired. And it is such a relief when it ends for them and for you, and yet you can't say it out loud because people who are not in your house,
right,
who have not had to think twice about, do I have time to go to the bathroom right now?
Right.
Much less go pick up the Instacart order from the front porch because that's as far outside the doors you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
Those folks tend to be ready for all other activities, whether it's ceramics or hot sex with a new partner. They're ready for that when the time is over.
When I was in my 20s, I took care of a entomology professor, that's all I'll say, at the University of Illinois. And besides, in his house, there were very interesting bugs living in the cabinet, and I would yell out, "What the hell color of a bug is this?" His wife had a type of mental illness and had been living someplace else in another state for a few decades already. And when there's nothing you can do, there's nothing you can do.
Right.
Romantically, in other people's thoughts, oh, isn't that sweet? They get together and blah, blah, blah. But it's not always like that.
Mm-mm.
Sometimes that's in the movies, and it doesn't really happen like that. And people build in those decades other kinds of relationships.
Yeah.
And just because you didn't know about the other relationship doesn't mean it's a new relationship. Does that make sense?
It does.
And thank you, Mary. Mary said
that when her husband was dying, after her husband died, she felt that way and felt guilty about it, which
yes,
guilt is the number one emotion for grievers. And Gail's saying, you got to consider the family members who are in denial and won't accept the reality of what's happening.
Right.
And then won't allow you to grieve in the way you need to grieve when that time comes.
I see that now. I mean, in family systems, people grieve differently. My brother and I had a great talk today because I was talking about the different people in my life. And now that I'm in my 70s, my older friends that we were pretty equal before, well, now I'm going to memorials. I'm going to have to buy a new wardrobe for memorials and doctor visits. That's not my only social life, but it's a part of my social life. And my brother's 5 years younger than me, and he was thinking about this one person. She was not married to him, but she was with him for about 10 years, and he just went to that memorial. The widow of the relationship, she had 3 great loves, and each one of them, there was grief associated with, right? And then and for him, she was the second love of his life. And it's hard for some children, even if the children are in their 50s and 60s, if their parent is in their 70s and 80s and they fall in love, whether it's while they have dementia or not have dementia, or they have relationships in long-term care, whatever the case is, the children have sometimes a very hard time with it.
Right, they do. They do, and they will actually at times go to court or move someone out of a facility to prevent romances inside long-term care facilities. And they will say, well, mom doesn't have capacity to give consent. Well, mom is the one holding hands. And so mom is not the mom you knew, and mom may very well still be married to dad, but she doesn't remember she's married to dad. But this is a person who's around her all the time, and she finds comfort in holding hands with someone. And that is a very big issue in dementia world. And I will sometimes hear facility staff saying, no, we can't have that. Like, it is a human need.
You know what?
Babies grab our fingers and hold on tight.
Just like I said to my living husband, I don't care if you don't want a cat. I need one. I need something to pet and hold. And you are not used to getting up on my lap. You are not used to coming around and snuggling with me at night. You are not used to all these things. That is not how you are wired. And
that's not your role.
What?
That is not his role.
That is not his role. So I'm getting a cat because my hormones need a cat.
Right?
That's what I told him. I said, I don't care. My hormones need it.
Right? So, and I've got all the doodle bugs.
You do.
So, and although one is now old enough that trying to keep him asleep at night is
Yeah.
It's that little old man bladder thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be real.
Yeah.
But yeah.
My yoga teacher has a dog. It's that little old man bladder thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to engaging with the group I've got on Wednesday, although the program for Wisconsin this year is so packed with so much amazing content that I was looking at when I'm presenting and thinking, but I don't want to miss the other two speakers. But yeah, I've got to go speak. So I don't get to hear them. So you're going to have to go hear the other ones.
Yes.
Because, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my role.
That's your role.
Back to Jill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we'll chat afterwards before I hop on the plane out.
Yeah. No kidding. Jill and I often talk. What are we going to also talk about today? So I want to talk about two movies I sort of watched. I watched one on one day and one on another, and they're both on Netflix. And the first one is from 2017. It's called Denial. And the reason why it's called Denial is the lead female character, Rachel Weisz, wrote a book. And I guess this book is really out there. Movies are loosely based on books. They take a lot of creative liabilities and chances. The book talks about Holocaust deniers, and the person who was in the movie, the Holocaust denier, had to be proven wrong, and his reasons by a British court. They do things a little differently, and so they had.
We saw that one actually when it came out. Yeah.
Did you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so in British court, they in the United States, technically, you are innocent and you have to prove your guilt. There you have to prove your innocence. So
right.
It was upon the person that wrote about Holocaust deniers, female lead, they had to prove that she did not, in fact, do anything with libel or intention to shame. And they were able to prove that the person who was the Holocaust denier was the one shaming and changing history for his own aggrandizement. So I watched it because, one, I thought it might give me some insight into people who think very differently than I and tend to deny science or deny what I think of as fact, indisputable fact, right? He said, she said, and it's recorded,
right.
Like cams that police officers wear, right? So you cannot deny that this person said or did. And what I found is the grief of when someone denies what you know to be your reality and what you heard, and other people can support that, yes, in fact, you did hear that, but you don't get a voice in which to say that to the other person. Because many times the deniers of facts or science or whatever, they're not gonna change. They are deeply attached, so attached to their way of thinking.
Yes, they are.
And if you have to prove this in court, then you have to leave the emotionality out of how badly this has hurt you being denied a reality,
Having your loss denied.
having your loss denied. And they brought up a lot in this movie that the people who had already died, and they used Auschwitz. Was
Mm-hmm.
it Auschwitz or Birkenau?
Well, they were attached to each other.
Yeah. And they used that to that the people who already had died, that the survivors are their voices and they need to be heard. And I really appreciated what the lawyer said. The lawyer said, I am not disagreeing with your reality right now.
Mm-hmm.
To win, you need this done, not this. This part we know. And I think about, if you want to heal a situation, let's just talk medicine or healthcare. If you want to heal something, you need the right medicine, and the most direct medicine if you can, right? And so many times doctors will say, I hear that you think this is it, but this will heal this, and that's what the lawyers were saying. Trust that what yours, we're not denying you, and they're doing, well, I usually have my and right above me.
And we have to do it this way instead. Yeah.
Yes.
It was a massive amount of material. It really was. But to deny the magnitude of that loss.
Right.
And it's similar to losses other people experience all the time, and losses going on right now.
The denial that we hear globally and in the United States is a loss to many. I'm just going to say it that way. It's a loss. And you want to be very vocal about this. WTF comes to mind. That many people, and it's not what the fun. And
it's not.
And so it's difficult to take the emotions, and there's a place for the emotions. There's a place for emotions to gather, to show it's not one person that disagrees with you or 5. It's millions of people that say you are denying our reality.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I think about that with vaccines, and people don't realize the global threat. Like, I'm just going to use measles. It really saddens me that people say, well, I don't want to have measles. Well,
a measles vaccine.
Measles vaccine. And they even showed that on the first season of The Pit, right?
Yeah, they did.
I'm like, you have just infected all these other people because you don't want to be part of this. And
to bring it down even, from like the massive amount of Holocaust denial to vaccine denial to even just you have a loved one that is very sick and other people are doing that. Well, it didn't seem that bad to me.
Exactly.
It can't be that bad. And yet Deb is out taking care of people sometimes night after night. And we've got people in our family who are very ill, and there's this need to insulate by other people in the external groups so they can't see how bad this is. And sometimes you have to be brusque and say, it is that bad. This is what it is.
And I really don't have, I mean, this is me recently. I was confessing this to Jill. I only have so many nice minutes on this phone plan.
We had this conversation this morning.
I know. And I'm like, I don't have 3 more sentences in me to try to make you
space.
feel better about you not wanting to accept the reality.
Right.
So.
Right. And that's exactly what it's like. It's you have someone that you know is in a bad way, and others who have not been present or come in and deliver. And yes, casseroles are lovely and all of it's great. Drop off the pizza, go do something with the kids. But if you're not there, you can't know how tough this is. And so you don't get to tell the person who's in the center of it, or the person who's dying or is sick, that it's not that bad, because they need to tell you what it is, and then you need to receive that and then provide whatever the support is that is needed.
Or how about this one, Jill? Well, let's just talk about pleasant things. Or the worst is, can't you talk about more pleasant things?
Isn't there something nice you can talk about?
Didn't something good happen today?
Right? And there are days at the end of my day where I have loved the work I have done, but I have absorbed just a whole bunch of folks who are not doing well, even just physically. And a new client who is coming to see me because they need to prepare for their own death. And it's a heavy load, and it takes a little bit of, actually it takes a lot of humor and a lot of, I don't have any more nice left. I need an hour before I can be nice again.
Right? Do you know, Gail, I hear this. People can read it online, and my heart goes out to you, because to listen to that kind of pain, probably as often as you had, is really hard on the psyche, and especially in the middle of the night when you're alone.
It is. Or you want to let the rest of the family sleep. And, I think it's harder still when you've got someone you're caring for who doesn't want others to know what's going on.
Yes.
Because that puts you into an even smaller box for support.
Right.
Where if you can just share it more, which is what I did. I got permission from my wives, and I shared what was happening, because it educates people. Those blogs are still educating folks to this day. I still get messages, and it's been a decade.
Right.
And plus, and it's because they were willing to share their path so that other people could see how to talk about it, how to manage it, what's happening, which also gives the spouse, like Mary, permission to grieve as they need to grieve. Right?
Yes. And, it's sort of like the difference between Daryl and I when we get sick. When he gets sick, I check on him every 2 to 3 hours, and I just ask, need anything?
Right.
And then that is probably one of the few times I ever get a yes or no answer from Daryl. Me, I want you to check. I may want you to just be in the room reading or whatever if it's not contagious.
Right.
I just need, it's sort of like I need a cat, but I don't want you to sit on me.
That's exactly right. And we have that divided in our house. Carrie wants to be checked on and petted, and but I need some more 7-Up. I just got you some, but could you bring it over to me? And she needs that check-in where Stace is more like, okay, I'm going to be laying down, and I need you not to keep coming to look at me because you make me nervous.
Yes.
Stop doing that. You have to kind of get to know the tendencies of those in the house. what you're allowed to get away with.
And I want to tell another humorous vignette about when you have had one of those days where everything absolutely was shitty and you can't absorb anymore. One day I came home I worked at public health, and I worked in STI, and I worked in AIDS, and I worked in tuberculosis. There was a bunch, and childhood immunizations and care. So I come home, and it was a particularly rough STI clinic. And I said to him, "Are you having an affair?" I just out of the blue, and he's like, "No." "Are you going into men's bathrooms and soliciting other men?" "No."
Honey, where have you been today?
Are you beating women with hot coat hangers?" And
Yep.
he's like, "No." "Have you performed any illegal abortions lately?" "No." "Have you?" And I went through a list. And after about 2 more ridiculous questions, he goes, "Bad day at the office, dear?" And I said, "Yes. And thank you for saying it that way. It was horrendous."
Yes.
And, and that's welcome to the pit.
Right. And there is a reason that when I get home from work, you will sometimes see all of a sudden butterfly pictures and bird pictures and squirrel pictures popping up in all the places that I might post, because I am leaving everything behind, and now it is time to just be present with the sounds that are outside and the doodle bugs, right? And if you're that someone who's got people telling you that it's not that bad, then there's a sound that I teach my clients to use. The Peanuts teacher. Do you remember her?
Wah, wah.
That's the one. So if someone is telling you it's not that bad, while their lips are telling you it's not that bad, you are hearing wah, 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 wah.
Yeah,
and that's you just what I don't hear. Process it. And if they don't want if they want you to play interference with how tough things are with the loved one that they are visiting, then you suddenly have to go do things in a completely different part of the house, and they are left trying to figure out how to do this whole thing.
Right.
That educational moment is priceless.
I have written, and I know we're a minute or so over, but this week I actually said thank you to the people that I specifically, when I need to be snarky and sarcastic, I send things specifically to them.
Right.
And number 2, I wrote a friend just to give a heads up that I don't feel like talking on the phone. I talk here, I'll talk at church. There's a very inner circle. I don't mind texting, but the energy it has been taking me to talk, I use very judiciously right now.
Right.
And being more aware of that to our listening audience. Don't forget to say thank you for those. Thank you in advance for your understanding. And those that don't understand,
it's not yours to educate.
No.
It's just not. It is yours to take care of you, to do what you need to do for your loved one, to do what you need to for your grief, and to not particularly put a lot of energy into how other people are determining that you are doing it right or wrong.
Exactly.
You can appreciate their support. You can wait for them to leave the room and have a good laugh about their level of inability to understand because they haven't been there or they're just not you, right? But you don't need to put the energy into that. We all have this much energy, and I will say, my older daughter Carrie she likes to say, yeah, I don't have enough emotional energy left for that today. And so she will say, my emotional energy bank is right here. So I can't do this right now. I think that's great. We should all be using our emotional energy banks and defining how much we've got left.
Capacity. My
There you
friend
go.
Judy and I, we always talk about capacity. And Jill and I are both giving our listening audience that if you do not have capacity, you can say, I'm not able to talk about this now, to I don't want to talk about this. You can say it that way.
Right.
And when they push you to say why, say, can't talk about that either.
Don't have it left.
Disengage.
And if you need to get together with people who completely understand, come to Wisconsin, because everybody there gets it.
We do.
We do. We totally do. I think we should close out with a heart hug today.
So how we do heart hugs is put your left hand underneath your right hand, put your two little thumbs together, wrap your arms, and it's about the size of a human heart. Press it against your sternum.
And breathe in through your nose.
And out.
Out.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Okay, bye-bye.